Welcome back to another segment of Behind the Scenes of the Waltons. Today I'm continuing my conversation with actress Deborah White from The Shivaree and The Loss. If you're enjoying these, please do hit like and subscribe. Did you have a preference between the two episodes?
Well, the first one was so damn special. Crossing across that parking lot and going into the house, was just. And I think there was a scene where I opened the window upstairs and looked down because Bob has arrived, and I'm like, one of those backlot houses where it's just the window, and I'm going, wow, this really is, just what you thought it was going to be like. There's nothing here, just a window. So it just the whole Hollywood and doing the Waltons and just Warner Brothers, which had such history. And of course, I'm a history buff and so much history. So I enjoyed walking around Warner Brothers and all that. But by the time I came back for the second one, I was prepared to be an actress, not just happy to be on the show. I was prepared to really try and bring as much to the role as bring myself up to the level that was needed for the role, because she just lost the love of her life, and you can't fake that,
Yeah, I thought about that because as I was watching the second one, there were so many more emotional demands in the second one, and I did not know anything about your acting history prior to the Waltons, and I thought, well, and this will happen with people. It's like you're hired for a role. You were hired for the first one, which was mostly she's getting married. It's all wonderful. Yes, there was the Shivaree thing, and that was very upsetting, but that was a small piece of what was demanded of you in the first episode, and all of a sudden you're brought back. There's no second audition to go, hey, can you deliver all this heavy duty emotional stuff? There's just an expectation that you will, and you more than, you exceeded
thank you.
What was asked of you in just a wonderfully moving, believable way. So I had kind of thought about that. It's like, well, had they hired somebody else who maybe had the, I can be happy and cheery and excited about life aspect, but couldn't deliver the other, it could have been, a nice episode, but perhaps not as impactful as an audience, as visceral for us to experience.
Wow. Thank you. And I want to accept this award on behalf of. No, that's lovely. Can I keep you? That's just lovely.
Anytime,
And I had to, in the second episode, I was more aware than I was in the first episode that I was a member of this clan, and there's a certain way of behaving that I, as an individual, am not at all. I'm very outgoing and a little silly, and and she was very reserved and very lost in that second episode. Very lost. Kind of the way I was when I went to Ellen's house. I was hysterical when I went to Ellen's house, but she was lost and in a lot of pain, and yet she was still, repressed. I mean, there was not going to be a lot of emotional outbursts, so I had to find some balance there, which I have to say I got from you guys, because I just kind of went along with the flow of the family, and everybody kind of stayed in character. I mean, like, for instance, Judy, if you weren't shooting, you were in school, right? Pretty much.
Yeah, until I graduated. Yeah.
So you would go from, you'd be writing an essay, and they'd say, Judy, you're wanted on the set. You'd have to drop everything and switch into Mary Ellen, right? Am I right? Mary Ellen?
Yes.
Yeah. This age.
and 45 years.
I mean, I remember the schoolhouse. I remember where it was, and I just was amazed, that you guys could switch those hats. And when did you learn your lines? And have fun? But you seem to be having fun you didn't seem to be struggling at all with any of it.
No.
And I think the nature of the show and the showrunners and all of that made sure that it maintained that feeling. Even the pilot, even the Christmas show, the pilot, that even that has the same feeling. Not a lot. Well, it's different, but you guys were very comfortable. Very comfortable in your skins too, is what I mean. Not just on the show, but in your own skins.
Someone I was speaking with not that long ago made a comment about the kids, particularly the children. We never came across on screen as Hollywood children who were acting. That there was a naturalness in the vibe, and the whole flow and tone of the show encouraged and let us and looked to capture just real children. And Cammie spoke about that when I talked with her about, and Mary did too, that they wouldn't try to make us prettier, make our behavior prettier. A lot of times we were goofing around right up until the camera rolled, because we were trying to keep our energy up, and they just kind of rolled the camera and we'd roll right into that. And sometimes it drove the director and the crew crazy, because they were trying to light and we were goofing around. But for us, it was a way to keep the energy going. And so there was trying to find that balance between them being able to work, but us not, having to go from 0 to 60. And that in the Homecoming and even in the series, they didn't always clean up everybody's hair, or Mary talked about having all these allergies and how she was like rubbing her nose because we were in the barn and there was hay, and they just let that be. Nobody said, oh, don't be rubbing your nose, because it all made it real. And it's much more common these days for it to seem like you're aware that you're watching a bunch of young actors.
Yeah.
As opposed to watching a bunch of kids be kids.
They cast the show brilliantly. From the adults included. Yes. But you guys were amazing together. But I have to tell you something. You all, the girls in particular, you all stayed so beautiful. You're beautiful, Judy. You're just beautiful. And I could pick Cammie out in a crowd. It just
that hair
that hair, I know. And she's Jewish. That was the thing we used to talk about, is she was the first redheaded Jewish girl I met, and I'm Jewish, so it's like I didn't know.
Eric Scott, who is,
that's right,
the reddest hair of the boys.
I know it's so funny. Yeah. But they really cast you well, I must say. They really they really knew what they were doing with you guys.
We were lucky, and I think Earl was very involved in the original casting, of course, and Pam Polifroni, who was our casting director, was wonderful. Brilliant. And so I think that it was. I think that the fact that we did the TV movie first, and so there may have been, I'm just guessing, but that because we were going to be a 5-week shoot, and it was a TV movie, and we had Fielder Cook directing, who was like not just sort of somebody who did episodic television, and Patricia Neal and the whole thing, that there was a different layer to what went on with the casting of that original show than might have happened if it was an episodic or something, or that we had 5 weeks to set the style of it, because we had 5 weeks as opposed to 2 weeks if we were doing a 2-hour special for the Waltons. So I just think that there was more time for attention to detail that served that piece, but that all of us who did that show carried over into the series.
I'm with you. I'm with you completely. I remember from the movie, we called the movie of the week in those days, didn't we? Call them movies from a historical viewpoint, that the people who were watching the Waltons were people who had been children during the Great Depression, and they wanted to remember their experiences as the struggle that they had during the Great Depression. that the family was what kept them together. I think historically it had a very important history. It came at just the right time. It came at the right time for America. There really hadn't been a show like that. There just hadn't been. Then there was Little House, which came later, I think, right? Didn't Little House come later? Yeah. I mean, they said, hey, the Waltons is really good. Let's do Little House.
Let's do another family show. That was interesting because recently in talking with Michael Learned, she talked about how much she and Ralph and Richard in particular fought for early on the scripts in terms of if they got, because they would only invite the adults to the table reads, which I understand. But that if they felt something didn't ring true, or it was too sentimental or too crafted, not realistic or real to the characters or real to the period, that they really went to bat about, no, we can't do this. This is, Olivia can't be so perfect all the time, or the children can't be so perfect all the time. And I know Ellen originally, Earl had wanted, because it was depicting his mother, and his mother was still living.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I think, and he knew she'd be watching. So I think the way he wanted to depict his mother may have been a little bit through rose-colored glasses and wanting her to be happy with her representation. Ellen was like, no, you got enough sweet people. You need a little spice in there. And so she was the one that really created that sort of more prickly character, grandma. And so we all benefited from their backgrounds, from their theater backgrounds. Richard, Michael, Ralph, Will, Ellen, all had theater backgrounds as well. And so their sense of story and building characters that were real and believable, I'm sure, made a huge impact on those scripts certainly over the first few seasons, as we were finding our way in that first being as strong as it was. So, I mean, I think we had good core material with some really talented writers, but what I hear is that they really, and each one of them would come to it obviously with their own character in mind. And they saw that. So we definitely are grateful for the work that they put into it.
Yeah. Now, I have one question for you, and then I'll let you go. Did you ever get to do any like fun, silly things, like be in a parade on a Waltons float?
Oh, we did all that stuff. We did the Hollywood Christmas parade one year. First time we did it, I think we were in the old truck, the Walton truck.
Oh, yeah.
It broke down on Hollywood Boulevard, and we had to get out of the truck, and there was some float behind us, and I can't remember what show or what it was, but we all went and jumped on the float behind us. Nobody had a clue who we were, because we were all in our street clothes, and we're just waving from this float.
That's funny. Funny.
We did. I've had so many wonderful opportunities because of the show getting to do things that people just don't get a chance to do, and I recognize how fortunate I am of the doors that it opened and the opportunities it gave me. And, so it was a wonderful experience.
It's just, it's a fabulous gift this lifetime has given you, because to be on a good show, that lasted as long as it did, that has as much meaning as it has. I'm sure, you got your own Wikipedia page, it's like,
for television history, I said, you last long enough, you're in a museum.
I know, you said that's so funny.
I have another side question, whether you remember or not, because I don't. In the Shivaree, at the end, when everybody comes to serenade you two at the cabin, I wasn't there. And there were a couple scenes there that I wasn't in, that there was no reason for Mary Ellen not to be in those scenes. And I was trying to speculate. There was a point in my life, and it was right around there, where I ended up in the hospital for a couple of days. And I had a feeling, and I know there was something that was shot while I was in the hospital where there was some singing involved. And I always thought it was something we were singing for the parents' anniversary. And someone said, oh, well, you should ask Debbie if she remembers if that was when you were in hospital, because she probably came to visit you.
I did not come to visit you, but you just rang a memory bell for me. And yeah, you were sick. I didn't know you were in the hospital, but I knew you were sick. Because I remember thinking, oh, they just like, she's just not there.
Well, and they didn't make a point of it. There was what I noticed initially, because there was a
you were sick
scene and there was food on my plate, but I wasn't there.
Yeah.
So I went, oh, they've made it look like I already ate and maybe I'm upstairs or something, I'm someplace else. And then we got to that and I went, I have a feeling that might have been it.
I'm into a third phase. I was the actress and then I was a teacher. And now my husband and I are retiring to upstate New York and we're opening a senior dog sanctuary. It came about during the pandemic, when we were losing a lot of our neighbors. We live in a very large complex in New York City called Manhattan Plaza, and it's kind of famous. If you look us up, if you look up Manhattan Plaza, it's subsidized housing for actors and artists and anyone with a union card in the profession. We have costume designers, and Tennessee Williams lived here at one time, Angela Lansbury. The city bought it, took it over as what's called a Mitchell Llama, and I'm not going off story. There's a purpose to this. Was because no one wanted to live over here. This was Hell's Kitchen. Nobody wanted to live over here. So because it's Broadway, the city came up with this idea, well, they'll take over the buildings. And now it's filled with people. Anyway, during the pandemic, we were losing a lot of neighbors, either hospitalization or they were just passing away. And they had pets, and the city didn't want to deal with the pets, and we're animal people, and we're dog people. The shelters were closed. So neighbors got together and sort of rehomed or nurtured these beloved animals. And when it was over, when the pandemic was over, which it really isn't, but it's, sort of, when the bad part was over, Dave and I said, that's what we want to do. We want to have a sanctuary. So it took us a long time to find a property that we could afford, and it's upstate New York. And now we're going to be moving in a couple of weeks, I think. And we're going to have a pet sanctuary. It's called Moose Lodge Senior Pet Sanctuary.
Oh.
And there's a website if anybody wants.
Yeah, please share how people can support that.
There's the website is Moose Lodge SPS. So that's Moose Lodge Senior Pet Sanctuary.org. And we're a not-for-profit. And we already have 3 residents. We have somebody up there who's watching them. And we're in the city right now because we both still work, but we will be retiring from that and be up there full time. So if you're looking for a senior pet to adopt, or you want to volunteer, or you want to just come stay, come up there. That's my third act. Oh, my third act of my life.
I love that. That's so sweet.
Thank you, Judy. Thank you.
We have a lot of animal lovers, a lot of dog lovers out there. So
yeah. It's very, it's very sad to see an animal that's lost its owner, and it just, and they end up in shelters, and they're stunned, like they're frightened and stunned, and so you give them they live in the house with us. Nobody's in a cage. Nobody's in a whatever. They're with us. I mean, we're not going to have 1,000, but we've had as many as 13 at any one time. So thank you, darling. I appreciate that. Well, you're just lovely. I'm so glad you came to do my show. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so glad you asked me to do your show.
I really do want to thank you for coming and joining me and sharing your memories of the Waltons in your life. And it's so special to me to have connected up again. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
And that's what I have for you for this segment of Behind the Scenes of the Waltons of my conversation with Debbie White. I'll also be back with more episodes and more Ask Judy. Thanks for watching.